it's not common that you say you're 1 in 200,000 in anything, but in some cases it's for things that you'd rather not be 1 in 200,000, but it's important for our communities to know about those cases as well. And that's certainly the case with Nicholas Matteson, a 9-year-old from Commerce Township who's afflicted with arteriovenous malformation, or AVM. We're pleased to be joined now by Callie Matteson, his mother, as well as Kirsten Abbott, joining us on the MegaCast to talk about AVM. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate having the two of you on. So to start, let's just talk about what AVM is and how your story with Nicholas's case came to be, and how you kind of discovered what his affliction was, as well as what this disease is.
Okay, so an AVM is basically an abnormal connection between arteries and veins in the brain. It's basically when the arteries and veins get tangled up and it forms a mass that, like on a MRI, looks like a tumor. A lot of times you don't find out this happens until the AVM ruptures. And when that happens, it's a very critical situation, which is what happened to my son. He was completely fine. And then within 2 minutes, he had a serious headache and he was sweating profusely, and he passed out. And, we rushed him to the emergency room, and they weren't sure what was wrong with him. They intubated him and got him a CT scan right away. And that's when they told us that he had a massive brain bleed near the brainstem and a large mass on his brain. They didn't really have any other answers for us other than that. They said that U of M helicopter was on its way to take him there because they were better equipped to handle it.
We were lucky enough that we had one of the best hospitals in the country, just 30 minutes away, though.
Yeah, exactly.
We're joined by Callie Matteson and Kirsten Abbott to speak about AVM, or arteriovenous malformation, which afflicts, of course, Nicholas Matteson, a direct family member of theirs, who is 9 years old, out of Commerce Township. So in terms of Nick's treatment, how long was he in treatment for this, and what is his status right now?
Right now he's stable and he's home. We're just waiting for his big surgery to remove the AVM. He spent 16 days in the ICU at Children's Mott in U of M. They basically just stabilized him, and he had a shunt in during that time to drain the blood from around the brain that was left from the hemorrhage. We have to wait until all the blood is gone and reabsorbed by the brain to be safe to remove the AVM. He just had a scan on Sunday, and that showed that it's now at a safe level to do surgery. So they're going to be doing surgery at the beginning of September. He has a lot of emotional and behavioral problems from this now. This was very traumatic. He's attending school right now, but he's only made it a couple hours every day before he ends up getting a really bad headache, and his eyes are hurting and he has to come home.
Anxiety.
Yeah. So we're just waiting for the surgery at this point.
And from what your conversations have been with the doctors regarding this surgery, what did they expect to be the recovery time for Nick afterward, and should the surgery itself, removing that mass, provide some relief to him, particularly with those behavioral issues that have mounted from, of course, from the trauma of this, but also just from the effects on the brain?
Yeah, he's really fortunate because his AVM is in the cerebellum, and the cerebellum, it's a really forgiving part of the brain. It can heal itself. It controls balance and coordination. So our surgeon is really confident that when he goes in and removes this, that Nick is going to have a very speedy recovery. Like, he'll probably only be in the ICU for a matter of days. And then he's saying by October, he should be completely back to normal. Like, he's not going to have pain anymore. He will no longer be at risk for another bleed like this. Like, he should be able to go back to a normal life once this is removed.
Well, that's certainly good news to hear, and yeah, hopefully we'll hear of more good news in the future for Nick as he goes through this process and has his surgery, and certainly through his recovery from his surgery. We're joined by Callie Matteson and Kirsten Abbott, who are family members of Nick Matteson, of course, Callie is his mother. Nick Matteson, a 9-year-old out of Commerce Township who's afflicted with arteriovenous malformation, will undergo surgery soon. But there is a fundraiser that's going on tonight. It began already today, but it's going on until 7 o'clock tonight at Michigan Made Nutrition's location in White Lake. For those that are interested in contributing to that fundraiser in one way or another, what can they expect to be happening out there at that location? Are they taking certain donations, and what overall is the purpose of this fundraiser?
They're 20% of their proceeds today are going to the fundraiser for Nick, and they had a raffle going that people put in on for it, and then they also were just accepting donations. The money is going to be used for medical bills. Our son does not have Medicaid, so we're responsible for a large portion of every test and everything they've done. It's really overwhelming.
And Justin had to take off work for a month.
My husband, of course, yes, took off work because we were down in Ann Arbor for 3 weeks. Basically, it's just to help us financially right now.
And she's also had to pay for childcare for 3 children.
Oh, yes. My other children were staying with my sister. So, we were helping them with caring for them, of course.
We're joined by Callie Matteson and Kirsten Abbott with us today on the MegaCast. And in terms of that support that you have received, of course, from Michigan Made Nutrition and from those that are helping to support Nick's surgery, and of course the medical bills that are going along with it, because as you said, he is not covered by Medicaid for the surgery. What do you have to say to those that are providing that critical help to Nick during this time as he goes through, as you said, a traumatizing process that you hope no kid ever has to go through?
We're so grateful to everybody in the community who has shown us support, and it's just overwhelming how kind people have been to us, and we honestly just couldn't appreciate it more. Like these people at Michigan Made Nutrition, they came to us and asked us if they could do this for us, and it just means so much. I really just can't thank them enough.
It just shows the good in humanity. It really can shine through at times.
Yeah, it really does.
So Callie, Kirsten, we have a few more minutes with you today before we'll say goodbye. But as we head into this fundraiser that's going on throughout the day, it's until 7 o'clock tonight at Michigan Made Nutrition and their location on Nordic Drive in White Lake. As people are considering donating or considering contributing to this fundraiser, and hopefully raising more awareness about AVM and this condition that affects less than 200,000 people in the U.S. each year. Tell us a little bit about Nick. Obviously, as you said earlier, there's been some behavioral issues that have arisen because of the trauma of this event, because of the way that this is obviously affecting a young child. This is something that no child should ever have to go through, and this is going to have a large toll. But before this condition popped up, tell us a little bit about what Nick was like and what he is like.
Nicholas is a really sweet boy. He's friends with everybody. Everywhere I go, he makes a friend. He's, very helpful. He was just a completely happy, normal, healthy 9-year-old boy before this. But I do want to make a point to mention that for the last 2 years, he had been complaining of serious ear pain, and also like squinting his eyes a lot, and
light sensitivity.
And so I brought him to the doctors many times about his ears, and was always told there's nothing wrong with his ears. I've mentioned this to the surgeon, like, could this be related? He said that he didn't think so, but from talking to other parents with children with AVMs, I've come to learn that they also were experiencing serious ear pain, like for years leading up to their rupture. The whole point here is there's not enough research being done on AVMs because it's so rare, and
doctors don't even know. That's
right. They don't really know what to tell us. They don't know. So I consider that a warning sign. Like, there were things, like, now that this has happened, that I know were warning signs now of this going to happen. Like he was really clumsy and fell down a lot. Well, that makes sense now because it's in his cerebellum. with the ear pain,
Headaches,
the headaches, the
light sensitivity.
yes, like all of this. This happens to everybody who goes through this.
The biggest problem is, though, the majority of doctors don't know anything about it. The few doctors that do know about it, they don't know much.
Right.
So it's more of a community of families that have gone through this that are giving information to each other.
And for the record, the statistics are not accurate. We are finding out from talking to other parents and from talking to some of the foundations that are going on right now. They're publishing new studies. Like they just published one in May of this year, but there's going to be more to come. Once these are published, the statistics and everything are going to change on this, because it's not as rare as people think, and this really can happen to anybody at any time. And my whole goal is, we need to have earlier detection. Like there needs to be a way to know that this is happening to somebody before it ruptures.
It needs to be at 5 years old, before kindergarten. They get scanned before they go to school, get an MRI. It should be included in insurance. It should be necessary.
So there's this foundation, researchforryan.org, and they're by far my favorite foundation that's doing amazing work for the AVM community right now. And they have several doctors that they've hired for several years now that have been doing clinical research on mice, and they've successfully given mice true AVMs, and they've been studying the effects and like how this happens.
And when it forms.
Yes. And so now we know that this forms during weeks 4 and 10 of pregnancy. And if you look online, they were assuming that it possibly happens during pregnancy or early childhood, but now we know for sure. It's not like you wake up one day and you have an AVM, like you're born with this. So like this, so basically this foundation, they're working to, they want to have early detection made possible. And so all of the donations to this organization, it goes directly to the doctors working on this, specifically Dr. Chen. And yeah, I just wanted to make that foundation known. It's really
going
important.
Towards critical research salaries. It's going towards animal testing, supplies, equipment, lab. I mean, it's needed. We've
learned so much, and it's from this group that's been doing all this research, and it's just amazing what we're learning.
We're joined by Callie Matteson and Kirsten Abbott, who are the mother and the aunt of Nicholas Matteson, who is a 9-year-old from Commerce Township afflicted with Arteriovenous Malformation, or AVM. Of course, there's a fundraiser going on through Michigan Made Nutrition, going on now until 7 o'clock tonight at their location at 901 Nordic Drive in White Lake. Again, that's 901 Nordic Drive in White Lake, and that fundraiser going directly to funds to, of course, pay for the testing and the surgery that Nick is undergoing to treat his AVM. And of course, the organizations that the two of you talked about, Research for Ryan, also doing great work to put this research out there to support these families, because, like you said, a lot of these doctors don't know about rare diseases like AVM and other rare diseases as well, or if they do, they have very little information, and often it is these kinds of organizations that are specifically focusing on these rare diseases that are putting the lion's share of that research out there, and in some ways maybe even helping these doctors on a more localized level treat 100%. These diseases and learn about it, because ultimately it's their duty and their job to help these patients and to treat these patients and help them get through this situation, and they need that information as well. So if you can support, of course, the Matteson family at this fundraiser at Michigan Made Nutrition today through 7 o'clock tonight at their location in White Lake, certainly. And then if you want to learn more about Research for Ryan and that organization that's doing great AVM research, it's an AVM research foundation. Their website is researchforryan.org. Research, the number 4, Ryan.org. And we'll put a link to that organization's website in our description for this interview as well. So Callie, Kirsten, we appreciate you joining us today, and wish you, your family, and of course Nicholas the best during this process, and hopefully a speedy and successful recovery and life going forward.
Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you for spreading awareness.